Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video, I thought I would share with you all of the standout recipes that I've been making over the past about 2 months or so. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you're probably going to already know about some of these things. And if you don't, you're missing out. On Instagram, I often post what I'm having for dinner, like live while I'm cooking it. I've also done Instagram lives where I cook with you. That is me day to day cooking in the kitchen. I really enjoy cooking. I love eating. I love everything about it. And so follow me on Instagram because that is where you will see me posting things every single day. I post outfits of the day. I post what I'm reading, what I'm eating, what I'm doing. That's where I am the most active. Another place you can follow me for inspiration would be on Pinterest. Now, Pinterest is another place where I can get lost for hours. But I post recipes there, and I use a lot of the recipes that I post on my board. So I'll have those 2 links below in the description box so you can come follow me everywhere that I am getting my cooking inspiration. But I was pouring my coffee this morning and I'm like, you know what? I need to share all of these recipes. I was planning on sharing them in my monthly favorites, which I often do, share recipes that I'm cooking. But I specifically wanted to do this video because there are quite a few. Honestly, I didn't realize I started making my list. I'm like, oh, we made this, and I've done this. And I'm like, man, there are a lot of things I want to share. So hence this video. Welcome if you are new. Please subscribe so you do not miss anything. Hit the notification bell if you would like to know when I upload, which is every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday mornings. The first recipe is a crock-pot recipe. Amen. I love the crock-pot. You put it in the morning and it is done in the evening. My favorite kind of recipes. I actually, if I could give you a tip for those of you who have young children, you're a busy mom, maybe you're a working mom, maybe you're not a mom at all and you just work and you want to get home and have dinner done for you, get a crock-pot. I mean, I do a lot of recipes in the crock-pot because even for me, I'm at home, yeah, but that doesn't mean I want to spend my entire day in the kitchen either. So the first thing is a beef stew recipe that I made in the crock-pot. I'm going to give all of the recipes in the description box. Now, none of these are my own recipes. I've never even made up my own recipe. I kind of just throw stuff together and then usually it turns out, but sometimes it doesn't. So I'm one of those cooks that does a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I write nothing down. I'm just going to have to teach my daughter my ways, I guess. So anyways, the recipe came from Dinner Then Dessert. She has a blog. She's a chef. And she knows what she's doing because this recipe was freaking phenomenal. I'm going to preface this by saying I still have to add butter and flour to thicken this up. But tonight is a homemade stew. And I've decided the secret to a really good stew is to sear that meat ahead of time. And I have been cooking this on low. It's only been 6 hours. I have 2 more hours to go, but the meat gets a nice crust on it. And the potatoes and carrots are still not quite tender enough. But good French bread, fresh if you can, to dip. It was so good. My husband had 2 bowls, stood up from the table. He gives one of those grunts, you know, like Tim the Toolman Taylor. And he's like, man, that was good. I'm like, be still my heart. You know, there's just something satisfying and makes you feel good when, yes, you cook food for your family, but when it's really good and when you get that kind of a response, you kind of do a mental note that we are making that recipe again. Or maybe that's a recipe you make after you've had a fight or two, you know, just something to kind of remind them that, hey, if you're looking for something with the flavors of fall. When I think of fall, meat and potatoes is the first thing. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, northern Midwest, and meat and potatoes was just, that's what you had for dinner every night. And this is just a really great way to incorporate in some vegetables that your kids might otherwise not enjoy. For all of my bakers out there, fall just inspires me to get into the kitchen and start baking. I also have been binge watching and I finished the Great British Baking Show, the latest season, which was season 5. If I could recommend a show for you to watch, it is family friendly, it is safe to watch with little ears around, and it even inspires my kids. They watch it and they want to get into the kitchen and bake. It's a good show and just gets you like, oh, I need to go make some cookies or maybe I'll go try a bread. But I made with my friend the pumpkin cream cheese swirl muffins. If you are a fan of cream cheese and you're a fan of muffins, well, what are you waiting for? You just need to make these muffins. They're so easy. Now, I will also tell you I'm not a cook or a baker that likes to do really complex things. I like it to be simple and efficient and delicious. These recipes were really easy to do. I think the swirling on top kind of adds in a little bit of artistic element to them, a little bit of fun. Definitely something you could let the kids do. Now, you know, of course, keep in mind if you are going for a presentation, maybe let you do the swirling. But, you know, that's the best part about getting in the kitchen and involving your children is they're learning. And before you know it, they're going to be better than you at it. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of things with pumpkin. Not only am I drinking my coffee with pumpkin every day, and I'm making cookies, and I've made pumpkin bread. Oh my gosh, I made pumpkin bread. 4 loaves. Oh, so good. But I made some pumpkin white chocolate chip cookies, and I actually didn't even save a picture. I ate them all that fast. I don't even think I took a picture, but I will put the recipe in the description box for you. They were delicious. It was one of those recipes where it's just a basic pumpkin cookie, but they weren't a tough pumpkin cookie. They were a soft, chewy pumpkin cookie with the white chocolate chips. So good. I got the recipe out of a Better Homes and Gardens magazine, like their fall ones that you see as you go into the checkout line at your grocery store, Target, or Walmart. So pick up that fall baking. I think it's actually just says fall recipes on it. That is where I got the recipe, but I know that they have it online as well. Okay, so this past spring, summer, I had a little herb and vegetable garden in the back. I killed some stuff. It's too hot down here for container gardening. I learned that the hard way. And I was watering twice a day just for them to kind of survive, like limping along. I will never do container gardening again. But the tomato plant that I bought, literally, my husband is 6'4.5". It's taller than him. We just recently ripped it out and threw it away because it was done producing. But I think it grew to be about 6'6" or 6'7" feet, 6'7" tall. I'm not even exaggerating. It's crazy, right? So you can imagine I got some tomatoes out of it. Now, one of the recipes that I made was so good, I froze half of it because I wanted to enjoy it in the fall. Like on a cold day or cold evening where I just didn't really feel like cooking, I can just take it out of the freezer. Another tip I could have for you, if I could share, would be to either double things or triple them depending on your family size and then freeze it. Because there's going to come a night where you don't want to cook. You have zero energy, but you want something comforting and delicious. And every time I want something comforting and delicious, I think, oh, fast food will do the trick. That's not actually what I want. I'll still eat it. We'll still go and get it. But what you really want was that homemade meal that you made, but you don't want to go in the kitchen to make it. So I made a roasted tomato, creamy tomato shrimp pasta sauce. Now, I say the word creamy, but that doesn't mean that it was full of cream because it wasn't. It just had some butter in it. If you want, you could take out the butter, but butter makes everything better, so just put it in, enjoy it. And another thing about this sauce was the fresh basil. Get fresh basil. Yes, you can buy dried. Yes, it's more convenient, but that fresh basil adds such a good layer of flavor, but also color and presentation. Like fresh herbs, I love to cook with fresh herbs if at all possible. That is my preference. But I understand there's also times where you just don't want to go to the store, and some herbs are more annoying to work with than others. But parsley, basil, not thyme. Thyme's one of those annoying ones. Fresh mint. Those types of things are just easy to chop up and throw in, and it adds so much crisper, fresher of a flavor than dried. My tomato plant has given me such a great harvest, so I'm about to make a tomato shrimp pasta sauce to serve over noodles. So here's the finished sauce: roasted tomatoes, some fresh basil, sauteed in some shrimp with some lemon and garlic, salt and pepper. The kids are laughing, sorry if it's loud, and I'm going to serve it over some pasta. And of course I served that sauce on top of noodles, whatever kind you like. I love good fettuccine noodle. Penny noodles are good, but my kids really like just plain old spaghetti too. And they enjoyed that sauce. Believe it or not, my kids can sometimes, they're really good at trying new things, and often they will at least give a good attempt at, all these new things that I'm trying. The shrimp in that recipe turned out phenomenal. If you're not a huge shrimp fan, don't put them in. You could still make the sauce and just don't use the shrimp. So that's another thing I like about recipes, is that you can adapt it and kind of, get the inspiration from the recipe and then maybe tweak it to your liking or to your specific diet needs. So this next recipe is one my daughter picked out. So she wanted to get into the kitchen and she wanted to make some cupcakes. She had watched the Great British Baking Show, and then she was watching the kids one where they had a kids competition, and she's like, I want to make my own cupcakes. And I don't want you to tell me what to do, and I want to do the whole, she wanted to do all by herself. And I'm like, okay, so pick out a simple recipe. And of course I'm helping her, but you know, it's the whole idea that she wants to do it, and I'm totally okay with that. And so I opened up, I don't even know if it was like all recipes or my Pinterest page or something, and I let her scroll through and pick out a recipe. And she actually, I mean, she didn't know, but she was going based on how the photo of the finished cupcake looks, which we eat with our eyes first, right? And she actually picked out a recipe that was incredibly easy and so delicious. So delicious that I saved the frosting and then bought some more cake mix to make it again. Because the frosting actually made a lot more than the yield on it for the cupcakes. Okay, so it's called Carly's Celebrate Spring Cupcakes. I'll put the recipe below. It was a spring recipe, and they had decorated it with those cute little, like at Easter they have those little eggs, those speckled eggs, and like it was a chocolate bird's nest with sprinkles and then the eggs on top. But essentially at the core of the recipe, which we didn't do the spring decorations because it's really hard to find spring decorations now, we just did sprinkles, and I'll insert pictures, of course. But it was a cake mix recipe, so you just buy a cake mix, whatever brand. I think we actually went with, oh geez, Chelsea, it's either Betty Crocker or Duncan Hines, and we chose a fudge cake mix, like one that was really fudgy. And then the frosting is Cool Whip with pudding mixed together. Let me just tell you, that is the easiest recipe ever, like the whole thing. They were so good. We piped the frosting into the center of the cupcakes, and then we piped the frosting on top of the cupcakes. So you could even take half of that and like add some chunks of maybe crushed up Oreos to it or something to give some more interest to like the inside of the cupcake. You can really just, gosh, you could take that in 100 directions. But the basic recipe, easy to use with kids. They actually turned out delicious, and I froze some of them, and I've been slowly eating them. I told her, I'm like, well, we'll save these for when Grandma and Grandpa come to visit, and Mommy might have to make another batch because I know there's chocolate cupcakes in there with chocolate frosting, and I just can't stop. All right, okay, this next recipe is so simple, and I'm sharing it with you because I want you to go and buy this sausage because it's phenomenal. So I made a roasted a roasted sausage and peppers pasta. No. Roasted sausage. No. I made a roasted peppers and sausage pasta recipe. So what I did was I chopped up fresh peppers, whether it's whatever colors you like, green, red, yellow, orange. We like them all. And I roasted them in the oven with, olive oil and salt and pepper. And then I actually put my sausage in there too. Now the sausage is from Trader Joe's, and it's the chicken, Chardonnay, and apple sausage. So it's a chicken sausage. It's not pork based. But it has Chardonnay and apple in it. You guys, so good. And then I did just use a jar of tomato sauce. Now, I don't know what your local grocery store has, but H-E-B has a plethora of brands of spaghetti sauce. And I used to always buy Prego. I never liked Ragu, but my eyes have been open to a world of like 30 other brands, and I've just been trying so many. But most of the time, I'll take a jar of pasta sauce and I'll taste it, because sometimes they're really good, and other times they need a little doctoring up. They need a little more spice, a little more salt, maybe a little sweet. But this particular recipe was so simple. It was easy to throw together. All you did was roast things up, open up a jar, boil some noodles, and of course, don't skip fresh parmesan. It is the cream. It is the cherry on the top. It is like what makes your pasta creamy. It's just that little extra something. And of course, presentation. It looks good and all that jazz. But anyways, that sausage that I used is so good. All right, tonight's dinner is sausage and peppers. Kind of like the sausage and peppers rustica, I think it's called, that you see on Italian menus. This is a chicken sausage with Chardonnay and apple in it, which I am excited to try. Last night, I made the most phenomenal flavors of fall ever. This pasta recipe was so good. If you've noticed a theme, we like to eat a lot of pasta. It's easy. Kids like it. Pasta's inexpensive. You can make it go a really long way if you have a big family. Pasta goes a really long way. And this recipe you make in one pot. I love to cook, but I do not like to have 5,000 things to wash when I'm done. Like, I don't like my kitchen to blow up, because then it's like, it takes the fun out of it for me when you've already spent all this time cooking and then you want to eat it, but you spend 3 times as much time cleaning up after. Like, I'm not into that. So this is a one pot creamy tortellini pasta recipe with butternut squash, kale, and bacon. Now, before you even think, okay, it has the word kale, I don't like kale, you won't even know you're eating it. Like, my kids don't eat kale. Who eats kale raw? I mean, some of you probably do, but go you. Like, I struggle. I'm like, oh, this is so bad. But you put it in this recipe with some bacon and some cheese and some tortellini, you don't even know you're eating it. So anyways, one pot. Super simple recipe, incredibly delicious. The flavors of fall, you got the butternut squash, you have bacon, you have cheese pasta, tortellini, it's store-bought. Like, it's so easy. So easy, absolutely phenomenally delicious. I'm actually going to eat leftovers for lunch in about, 10 minutes. And my mouth is already watering. I love it. It was so good. Highly recommend that recipe. Okay, you guys, this is seriously so incredibly good. I did not expect this to be this amazing. I will share the recipe maybe later tonight, post it on my Instagram, but make this. It's one pot. This is the recipe, Cooking Classy's blog. It's one pan creamy tortellini with butternut squash, kale, and bacon. If you don't like kale, you won't even know you're eating it. Seriously, absolutely divine. Now, there's one substitution I made simply because it's what I had in my fridge, which that's the thing about cooking. You can substitute where you need to. So this calls for half and half. I actually had pumpkin spice half and half, and I think it actually added to the fall flavors of this dish. Alright, and to wash all this stuff down, I have a little drink that I have been making and enjoying. It's basically a apple cider mimosa, and of course you can change it to however you like. It's just like a basic recipe. I found it in a magazine. Apple cider, cream soda, and a sparkling white wine. I would definitely recommend a I wouldn't say non-sweet, but not an overly sweet sparkling white wine. The particular one that I chose was a Prosecco, and I believe it was an Italian Prosecco, and it was actually on its own incredibly delicious. It was more dry, not too sweet, but you don't want it too sweet because you're going to add in a couple tablespoons of cream soda, whatever brand you like, and then the apple cider. Now, I chose an apple cider, the Martinelli's apple cider, really good also on its own, not overly sweet either, and together it's pretty. The presentation is there. Now, I would rim the glass with some cinnamon and sugar. You could also do a cinnamon stick, and it's not overly alcohol-y. Like, if you don't like the flavor of alcohol, you probably wouldn't even know it is alcohol when you took a drink of it because it just tastes like a sparkling cider. I think it'd be a wonderful little mimosa for like a fall, maybe you have a fall wedding coming up or a bachelorette party, or you're just having your friends over or whatever, you have a little get together. It's just a really lovely little drink to enjoy. We've been enjoying it while watching football, like our little glasses of, champagne-esque and football, like whatever. Alright, so those are all my standout recipes right now. Let me know, leave me a comment down below, do you like this? Because I love this. This is another part of me, another facet of me that I absolutely love, which is cooking. I will continue to make these videos. Let me know. Also, you can let me know by giving this video a huge thumbs up, subscribing if you haven't yet done that, and I just love food, and I love to cook and share good recipes, because sometimes you go on the internet and you find a recipe and you make it and it's terrible. Maybe they wrote tablespoon instead of teaspoon or something. You just never know. But I assure you all of these recipes are tried and true. They went over well with me and my family, and so I thought I would share them with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in any more fall-related videos, I do have a fall playlist, which I will put in the description box as well. Have a fabulous rest of your day, and we'll chat very soon. Bye, guys.